everybody. This is Andrew Hunziker, CPA with Dope CFO and our podcast. I'm co-founder and owner, been in the cannabis space about 5 or 6 years now. Started out actually on a farm and needed tools and work papers. And so I had to create them for myself because back then, including now, they're still not available. And so that's kind of how I got my start in the business. Since then, over the years, people started coming to me and finding me and saying, Andrew, do you have a chart of accounts? Do you have this? Do you have that? 2017, I was runner-up for Portland Business Journal CFO of the Year. After that, even more people started finding me all over the US. And pretty soon out of that evolved our program where we help CPAs, enrolled agents, bookkeepers, accountants all over the US get into the space with our program, Dope CFO. So with that, I'm going to jump in and introduce our guest today. So one of the student members in our program, Valeria, I'm going to let you introduce and say your last name correctly so I don't bungle it. But let me just start real quick. You've been in the industry since 2014. You started in Los Angeles County. Now you're up in the Sacramento area. Helping with both gap accounting and tax compliance. You switched to the cannabis niche in September 2019 after being a generalist and learning the necessity of finding a recession-resistant niche. With the help of gaining additional resources from Dope CFO, you quickly propelled your business and acquired several great clients in the last few months. So with that, why don't you first make sure I got all that right, say hello and tell us, make sure we're saying your name correctly, and then I'll jump into the questions.
Yeah, so I'm Val, and I'm a CPA, and I started my career in public accounting in the tax department of a large CPA firm in Arizona. And I worked there for almost 5 years, and then I decided that I wanted to do something different. So after quitting my job, I, decided that I wanted to start my own business. And when I started, I was struggling a little bit because I was just competing with everyone out there. So it was really tough at first.
So that's, yeah, I get it. I hear you there. I went out on my own from similar background, public accounting. Then I went into corporate for a while, and then I was on my own since 2010. And yeah, it's a real struggle. I think really the entire industry, if you go back to the 80s and 90s when I started out, and even the first part of the century, you had pretty much everybody, whether you worked for yourself or whether you worked for Big Four or whether you were a small firm, you served everybody, nonprofit, retail, every different industry. And we were all generalists. We all said we can do everything. And because of that, we were experts in nothing. And it made it very, very stressful at times to serve in our practice. We do hear from people all the time who want to have a successful career in cannabis and recruit great high revenue clients, but just don't know how to get started. They're super hesitant about the process of finding clients and if it will really work. Today, we again wanted to bring you on to see how it worked for you. And especially, it's great to hear about you just recently moved cities and still that didn't need to slow your practice down at all. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your cannabis business? When did you launch it? And then kind of what made you pick cannabis?
Yeah, so I started, last year before I got introduced to Dope CFO, I was just, out there. I had a general website, and I was having a hard time getting clients that would pay me what I was looking for. And I felt like I was competing with, every bookkeeper out there that was charging, $25 an hour. And I had people, trying to ask me to charge that. And I really just wanted to be able to work from home remotely, because after leaving the CPA firm where I worked, when I moved to California, they allowed me to work from home. So I was working for them for a couple years, working from home. So I knew that I wanted to continue working from home, but I just didn't know how.
So, okay, so yeah, you didn't quite have the skills. And then did you pick cannabis before you found our program, or was it kind of the same time, or
So I got my business started in mid 2019, and I believe that I came into contact with Dope CFO around October.
Okay.
And I had been listening to podcasts and articles that kept saying you have to find a niche, and niches are for the riches.
It's true.
Yes, so I knew that I had to find something, but I wasn't sure what. And at my previous CPA firm, I was in the healthcare and professional services department. So I was like, maybe I'll focus on healthcare providers. So at the time, I was trying to, become an expert in, doctors, clinics, dentists. So that was what my niche was going to be. And then I came across Dope CFO, and then I just went right into it. It just felt right.
It felt right. It's funny you mentioned doctors and dentists because when I learned the idea, it was a totally new idea to me to pick one niche and even get the blinders out of me. Like I'm an accountant, I have to not only serve everybody, I can only serve people in my case, tiny little town. There was 80,000
Hmm.
people here in Bend, Oregon. And I thought I just had this very narrow world. So I had a narrow geography, but then I had a really broad practice to serve everybody. And so when I found out that idea too, a lot of, and this is still pitched everywhere, everyone thinks, oh, dentists and doctors, because they make a ton of money, they're
Yeah.
everywhere, they have lots of good practices. But what we don't realize is, oh, those niches are vastly overserved, and
Right.
doctors and dentists are very, very hard to reach. They make themselves intentionally. So sometimes there's a catch. And so many of us learned the hard way. We had to pick one or two niches before we got it right. And
Mhm.
one thing we help with hopefully people that find us early, they don't, because it can really waste 6 months of your time if you pick the wrong niche. And I know many people, including myself, pick the wrong niche and then start
Mhm.
over. So that's great that you found the cannabis niche. I wanted to tell you or ask you recently, I know you landed a big client using our offer template.
Mhm.
What were you doing before to promote yourself, and how is using our offer and kind of our little system on marketing, how has that helped change your ability to attract new clients?
So before I was just hiding from my house. Before cannabis, I was really shy. I didn't want to, put myself out there. I didn't even want to talk on the phone. So it was, when I started the program, as soon as I started, I just, did went through a few folders, made sure that I had the basics down, and then found a conference to attend. So that was within a month of joining the program. I think within 3 weeks, I found a conference, and that's actually how I got my first client.
So that's awesome. And that's one of, I think, in our simple system of kind of how do you find the CEO, then what do you say to
Hmm.
them, and then our offer. There's many ways to find clients, and I pitch in our program. I think we've got like 25 ways, whether it's attending a conference, whether it could be live or a virtual conference, or using LinkedIn or reading an article. It doesn't matter the method, just do them all and be consistent, because you never know. Just always keep your eyes and ears open um, about those. Because I was the same way. I didn't ever I had it in my head, like in the old school 10 years ago, it was like, oh, to get a client, I need to go have lunch with every banker in town. And I need to
Hmm.
tell these bankers, I'm a great accountant. You should tell people you know to hire me. And then once I got in the niche, like, oh, I don't need to go to the banker first. Why don't I go directly to the business owner? There's many ways to find these people. And just, yeah, the worst that can happen is they say no. And then we can just move on as well. So you got your first client, and that client's a cultivator and also a consulting business as well.
Yes.
And they, let me see, they also invited you to an event to help present to their cannabis consulting client. Did you do that as well? That was when I looked at your presentation materials. That was a ways back, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was in February. So after they signed up and I had been working with them for a few months, they wanted to, and they actually told me that they had been looking for an accountant to recommend to all their clients because they're consultants as well. And so after signing them up from that one conference, now, they send me referrals on, pretty much on a weekly basis now.
Well, that's awesome. So, and that just shows you just don't know where it can leapfrog, and there's so many ways to find that as
Right.
well.
And then right after that conference, I had people calling that said, my friend saw you giving that presentation, and then or from people that were at the presentation. So I have found that I've been most successful when I meet the person face to face, or somebody that they know has met me face to face. So getting out there, going to conferences, speaking, even though it's hard, I found that that was the best way to build trust right away.
Yeah, and it's been since we launched this program. I mean, I cannot tell you how many student members have spoken all over the US. And again, we put a bunch of materials out there on our blog and elsewhere so that people can quickly make a simple presentation. And I've spoken with student members at several events. I remember Rose and I, we spoke at a huge event in Oklahoma City. And
Hmm.
I think I was like the fifth speaker, and she kicked off this entire conference. She had never spoken before. She was terrified, and she was the lead off speaker of this whole thing. And she did an awesome job. But it's amazing to me. I can think of 8 or 9 people easily that have been speaking at a big conference within 2 or 3 months of joining Dope CFO. And so I
Hmm.
hear that story over and over. People think, oh, I can't go speak at those. I'm like, yes, you
Right.
can. We've got the tools and the knowledge. These people want this knowledge, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. Um, so
So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
I saw that in the course when I was going through it, that a lot of students are speaking within 3 or 4 months. And I did not believe that was gonna be me. And then I ended up, speaking 4 months after getting into the program. So that was
That's
crazy.
awesome. And
That's
I
why
mean,
that's why I said the program is right on. Like everything that's in there, I feel like it's happened.
well, that's awesome. And really, I hated to speak as well, but now I've spoken at a ton of events, and
Hmm.
um, actually, just I've kind of cut back lately as well. Like I want the student members to go do those events, but once you realize you know the subject, it's not that hard. You have a very narrow topic we're talking about, and we can answer those questions. But um, back to that first client as well, what was there anything that got him to jump on board and sign your offer, or did you do something to show him how valuable your services are?
Well, we talked at the conference, so they were sitting right behind me. So we just started talking. I didn't know it was, that it was going to lead to anything, and we exchanged business cards. And next thing I know, I get an email from them, and they want to work together. And they want to also, they have a list of other clients that need help as well.
Did you use our offer, the offer letter I've created with kind of how we do value pricing and the deliverables? We give a long list of deliverables. How did that work?
Yeah, I've been using that since the beginning, and I also use the value summary. I send that to every client after we get on the phone.
That's awesome, because and again, our value summaries, our list of, we want to let the cannabis CEO know there's about 25 to 30 things we're going to do. Every
Hmm.
one of them is valuable to these CEOs, whether it's more cash in their pocket, lower taxes, or peace of mind, or bookkeeping or cost accounting, whatever it is, that really resonates with them. Um, let's transition here. So the general education, and we've covered some of this. How to dope CFO add to your education so you could properly advise and land new clients. I think we've covered some of that, but here, this is actually later on. You were having a little bit of difficulty with another prospect, and you and I hopped on a call with them. Can you tell us
Hmm.
a little bit about that phone call with a CEO prospect where we both kind of hopped on together?
Yeah, so that's one thing. I feel like I'm always learning new things with clients because they always have questions, and I'm so glad that I have. Sorry, I'm so glad that I have the group to be able to bounce questions off of each other because they kind of threw. They asked me if I provided certified financial statements, but my firm doesn't provide any type of assurance services. So I went into the group and I just started asking what I should do or how I should go about that. I didn't know how to move the relationship forward. And that's when you jumped in and got on the phone, and we talked to them again, and they actually reached out to me yesterday that they're ready to move forward now. So they waited a few weeks, but they're actually saying that they're trying to get in, an investment, and at first they were telling me that they were going to hire me once they get the investment, and now they're saying that they can't even get the investment because all the investors keep asking them who's in charge of your books, who's your CFO. So they called me yesterday and they were like, can you be our CFO?
That's awesome.
And I was like, not quite like that, but
Yes.
uh,
That's so great. And it was fun to get on the phone with them. And they were just so typical of, I mean, they were almost the exact stereotype of the small group of people that were raising, several $1 million, and they knew a bunch of misinformation.
mhm,
um, and it turns out, yeah, one of the founders and the mother was involved and had some of the money already initially, and I could just tell that
right.
without even talking. Like, she was the investor, but it was pretty clear she called the shots. And so that's what we got to pick up as well. Who actually is the boss here? Is it the CEO, or is it the investor? A lot of times it's the
Mhm,
investor, and we want to make sure we get that right, and just having the confidence that, hey, we're doing this right. And we add, I think we pitch in our world that if you use us, yeah, we cost a lot, but it's an investment that adds value to the overall cannabis company, as opposed to if you hire a low price bookkeeper that doesn't know this, or accountant that doesn't know the skills, it's really a cost that you're just basically throwing money away. So that's awesome that they called back. And yeah, again, we also, it goes back to our kind of play a little bit hardball. Just, we're very confident we are the best, our community's the best. It's a national
mhm,
network, probably second to none at this point. There's about 300 of us in the US: CPAs, attorneys, enrolled agents, CFOs, bookkeepers, MBAs. And so we've got that deep cannabis knowledge. And so we can be confident talking to these people, saying, hey, look, if you want the best, we're kind of the Mercedes Benz
mhm.
of this space. And we're not cheap, but we do things right. So that's awesome to hear about that as well. Um, let me let me go back to you now for the yeah, some final advice that you can give accountants who are nervous about writing their first offers, and or getting out there in the cannabis industry in front of these CEOs. What could you kind of tell them?
Well, I feel like with this industry, it was really easy to do that because I just went on the different bureaus and websites, Cannabis, and they have lists of CEOs. So it's just a matter of downloading those lists that are already out there available. And I actually downloaded all those lists and uploaded them all into my CRM. So I have all those contacts. I have around 5,000 contacts,
Wow.
and I haven't had a chance to reach out to everyone, but I get leads every week, and when I enter them into my CRM, they're already there most of the time.
That's awesome. And once you land the class, do you feel some of the tools and work papers in the program are helping you to make sure you're serving them efficiently and accurately?
Yeah, I feel like it's just, I mean, the work papers are already there. I didn't have to create any work papers. I have the Dope CFO program open pretty much every day.
Okay,
And
great.
we just, any question that we have, we just, go back through the video or go through the template again, because it's very easy. And I feel like once you get it and once you watch the video several times, then you know how to use those work papers.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then
And,
we do live Q&A, and you can ask in the community
mhm.
too.
And
Usually
I
we
make
get,
sure, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, usually I'll answer, but usually about 7 other people will answer too every question. So it's kind of fun to,
Hmm.
it's less of Q&A and more of discussion and debate.
Right. Yeah, and I make sure that I mention to clients the chart of accounts. Like I noticed recently there was a new chart of accounts for a distributor.
Yeah.
that doesn't own the inventory. So I had, and it was really interesting because a couple of weeks ago, I was going through the Facebook group. I do that every day, just go through the Facebook group and see what everybody's asking. And I had somebody posted a question about a distribution client, and then 2 days later I get a lead with the same situation, and I knew how to handle that because I had gone through all the comments in the Facebook, and I just could not believe that
Yeah,
that
that's
it was
perfect.
the same situation. And then you guys uploaded that chart of accounts, and they hadn't responded for a couple of weeks after they told me on the phone that I was the most knowledgeable accountant that they had talked to. So I didn't understand why they didn't move forward. So I actually reached out to them this week, and I sent them a screenshot of part of the chart of accounts, and they wanted to get on the phone right away, and they're ready to sign up today.
Yay, that's awesome. And that's true too with, we started out with about 5 work papers 3 years ago, and now there's over 100. I think I've
Hmm.
added 20 this year, including I built that just delivery chart of accounts, but we're going to keep adding tools and work papers. Just today we were updating a tax calculator on different types of entities. So that was
Hmm.
working on that with Summer was helping fix that out. So that's so great to hear. I'm going to that's a good intro into, if you're just listening to us for the first time, we've been discussing the Dope CFO program called Cannabis Accounting 3.0. It is what we call our plug and play shortcut into the industry. It gets you ready to work with clients on day one. We have over 100 work papers, templates, tools, systems, as well as education, as well as our marketing system. And so it's pretty comprehensive, literally a firm in a box. You can do anything and everything. So appreciative of you coming on and to hear all the things going so great. Is there anything we've left out or any more you want to tell us about your cannabis practice or anything you want to say like that you're specializing in, and in case, because I know CEOs and business owners listening as well, of where they
Hmm.
can find you or reach you or whatnot?
Well, I work with all types of cannabis companies. I have dispensaries, cultivators, and distribution. So yeah, I would just say, just get out there and just do it.
Do it. And you're in Northern California. If they want to reach you, do you have an easy email to remember? We'll put in the show notes too, how to reach you.
Yeah, I have a website, kwbaccounting.com.
Okay.
And then my email is valeria@kwbaccounting.com.
And we'll put that up on with the podcast as well. And also, if anyone wants info about the program, just text DOPE CFO, all one word, DOPE CFO to 345-345. We'll also give you a free accounting guide as well if you text that to us. Thank you to all our listeners. Thank you to Val for joining us. You can visit us on dopecfo.com for more information. Also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc., for more updates on cannabis accounting. We also have a Facebook group where we host live discussions as well. We do Facebook Live every Thursday. That group is full of experts as well. And until next time, be dope, everybody. And thanks again, Val.
Thank you, Andrew. Have a good day.